Should I put shoes on my horse or should I leave him barefoot? Every veterinarian and many farriers get asked that question. To summarize it, it's often a personal decision, but sometimes it's a decision that the horse's foot status dictates. So we are presented with horses, and some people will have horses where their foot quality is not sufficient, that they're able to withstand the stresses of what they do without a shoe being applied. It can be difficult to sort those out, and sometimes people end up shoeing their horses after a period of time of trying to go barefoot, and the horse cannot take it. They get footsore. So in that case, there's no decision to be made. You know it doesn't work. In this situation, we're going to have to wear shoes. How do you get to that point? Well, there are some features of a foot that give you some idea of whether a horse might need shoes. If you have a horse that when you look at its foot, it has a big thick hoof wall, it's barefoot now, but it has a big thick hoof wall, doesn't tend to break down at the margins. When you look at it from the bottom, it has a nice concavity with a big frog, which is the big support structure on the bottom of the foot. There's a good chance that horse is not going to ever need to be shod unless its work environment is so harsh it dictates otherwise. You'll have another horse where you look at their foot and the hoof wall is more thin and what people refer to as shelly. The margins tend to break off when they're on a hard surface. When they walk across a hard surface, they move very gingerly and tenderly. That horse might be able to be maintained in a barefoot environment, but if it has those features, there's a better chance it's going to need to have shoes applied. So how do you decide? If you look at where most of our horses compete, they compete in soft ground environments. Well, even with that, a horse with a poor quality foot may end up getting sore despite that soft footing and need shoes, but many are able to compete quite successfully for a whole career and remain barefoot. It'll take some trial and error. You'll have to make that determination. I've had two of my own horses that I compete on barefoot through their lives. One of them will walk across rocks like they don't exist. The other horse, when you walk them across rocks or hard surface, is moves very gingerly and tenderly. But that horse, when you get him in the soft footing of an arena, is totally normal. So managing that horse, I can manage him as a barefoot horse. I may have to put a temporary slip-on shoe to get him from my horse trailer into the soft footing, but he can function very well in that situation. Other people may not want to do that, and they may look at applying a shoe to that horse. Some of it depends on the environment they work in, and a lot of it depends on the horse's foot quality. If you're dealing with a ranch horse that works in rough, rocky terrain, there's a good chance that horse, no matter how good its hoof quality is going to require an application of a shoe. So if you're to look at the entire issue, the way you're going to have to, if you like the idea of your horse being barefoot, try him that way. You may need to use these temporary slip-on shoes in certain environments, depending where you end up. But if they can work in the arena where they do the job they're intended to and not be footsore, you can manage that one and have it be barefoot forever. If, however, some of the ground that they work on is sufficiently hard, they start to get sore, that's a horse that's likely going to require a shoe to be applied. There's no yes/no answer. There's some personal preference, and some of those decisions are forced upon you by how the horse works in the barefoot situation. If you wish to keep your horse barefoot and compete on him that way, and you're unsure whether that's going to work for you, request the input of your farrier and request the input of your veterinarian so they can give you some guidance on what the horse's foot quality is, and they can visit with you about what kind of work it's going to be doing, how frequently you're going to compete on it, and help you sort out what are the odds that I can maintain my horse in the barefoot situation.